Hello and welcome back to the Awakening Philosophy podcast channel. My name is Jed. How's it going? We have finished the first 3 sections of the book, and we were given a lovely bunch of questions from the author to help us understand the book. And given that the book has been about the significance of understanding and its opposite, the other cognitive function on offer for human beings, belief, we really appreciate getting those extra questions from the author. Now, after those questions, we have the final section of the book, which is on analogy. And equally so, given how much work we've done in putting the pieces of the book together, we've seen the significance of analogy as one of the primary functions or activities or power of reason, of thinking, the good kind. The good kind of thinking. Right, Emma?
Boom. I love that.
Yeah, and we love that. So, let's jump in, shall we?
On the real, I say stuff like that because I'm cool.
And we do this because we are cool. Let's jump in. Here's the book. Kind of. Let's jump ahead to the section. Let's review the questions real quick before we jump into analogy and get our thinking on.
Oh, to be a man, honorable, filled with honor, and he is walking that talk, man.
Yeah, we all are. Here we go. Questions. All right, let's go through this question. So everything that we've been reading, here are some things that a master of the dialectic, a master of understanding, has left for us to do to develop that understanding ourselves. There are 3 acts to the play, Is It All Relative? Oh, by the way, if you are considering putting on a play in your local theatre or school, and you've chosen this one, please send us the link so we can all enjoy it. Because this is, after all, a goddamn motherfucking banger. There are 3 acts to the play, Is It All Relative? And in each of these acts, the characters Joseph, Elia, and Harry discuss many subjects. Who among them would you say is interpreting? And on what issues? As you consider each of the 3 acts and reflect on what is said in each, you get a sense of how the characters interact with one another and whether or not they went through any change. Considering the conclusions they came to, please answer the following. So, the key idea, belief versus understanding. That is the quarterfinals of the World Cup of the Soul. Understanding versus belief. We have been, oh my goodness, this jacket doesn't. Okay, let me just get under the table a little bit more. Hold on. That wasn't a very flattering angle. I'm wearing a suit jacket. That's how you know we're doing fancy stuff today. Beliefs functions through interpretation, as understanding through dialectic and analogy. Critical thinking. So who's doing the interpreting in the book? And what issues? What things does it get triggered in, and equally, what can you say about those things? Significant things? In what way? So, by the way, have you noticed a difference in each of the 3 acts? Now, we have been learning to look at the divisions in the structure of the medium to better understand the medium, and we've been learning about how to apply that to our dreams. Everything we've been learning on how to read the book, we can apply to our dreams. And so our task for you could be, each of these questions, can you find a similar question to ask about the dreams you have tonight or last night? So the division section of analogy that we use to unpack our dreams allegory. What are the divisions of the dream? And we broke that down into its own dialectic to see if we can discover a question that can open up our reflection and curiosity about our dream as well. Yeah. So that dialectic on analogy, metaphor, simile, allegory, and the two kinds of goals that we can, oh my goodness, goals or axioms that we can be living according to and concluding on. The redundant one, mathematical expression of the false axiom that is the goal and way of being and life lived by those in belief. Where is that? There we go, this one here. And the anagogic one, the way of living and the goal and the principle or axiom that is good. Our success. So, allegory, we talked about the divisions of the dream. Is there a division that expresses an idea most clearly? Are there different, is there contrasts in the divisions of your dream? Is that the curiosity that can open you up? Sorry, no. Definition. Is there a idea defined in one section most clearly? Demonstration. Are there qualities demonstrated of that key idea? Are the different divisions of the dream showing depth of the same idea, or the same idea expressing different aspects or in different scenarios? Division. Is there a contrast? Is there a part of the dream and another part of the dream that show opposites, or the absence of something? And finally, conclusion. Is there a key word or phrase, or is there a key turning point in those divisions of that drama? So you can go back if you want to review the 4 different dialectics within a main dialectic on analogy that can help you find a question in your dream to get you started, get you curious. Pick a point to jump in. And isn't it interesting that we went through all this work and it seems that there might be a similar way of thinking behind the author, that the author is sharing in as well, because he's asking us to look at the different sections of the text. Is there a key idea? Is there a differentiation of the idea? Is there a contrast of the idea? So normally we learn to read the book and then we apply it to our dreams, but here is a situation where we go back the other way.
Everything this guy does is perfect and beautiful, and he's handsome. I said it.
Thank you. We're thinking handsomely, right, Emma?
Somehow it always comes back to this.
All right. So what are the three acts, and can you see some differences between them? And specifically, in those different acts, how are they relating to each other? And, well, what did we say? Well, it's not that point anymore. Is there a change? Is there a development of, not the idea, but the character? So we can add that. So this is the thing about reading and dream analysis. Insight you get from one, you can apply to the other. So we've been saying, hey, is there a key idea? So, definition, is there an idea expressed most clearly? Are there aspects, contrasts, aspects or development? But he's saying, no. You can also have development of characters. So when we go back to our dream analysis, we can ask the same thing of characters. Do the divisions in the dream show a development of an idea or a character? Pretty neat. He wants us also to look at the conclusions they came to. Okay. So what makes you say they hold for a second. Sorry about that. The buttons on my mouse aren't working, so I wanted them to do a highlighting. Anyway. Did any of them change as a result of what they went through? What would you say influenced you most when you made that conclusion about how they changed? Do you think you could find a line or two, quote, from the play to support your view? And hasn't that been what we've been doing all the way through? We try and get the quote from the text or the key phrase from the text as often as we can. If there is a change, who changed and who does not? What would it mean if one were to go through such a talk without going through any kind of change? Why? Why would it mean that? What is it to be philosophically pregnant? What are the signs of being philosophically pregnant? Key idea for us because it's through a philosophical pregnancy that we go through our human development. It's not just a matter of the truth. We have to give birth. Well, we have to go through stages of nurturing a question, holding on to a question, which is of course yoga, or sustained focus is meditation. And when we get to a certain stage of pregnancy, we can give birth to that idea. Now, this system of the system of understanding, we recognize there are the two kinds of questions about self and reality and about our false beliefs, both generally and specific. Beliefs themselves versus understanding itself and specifically. So therefore, this demonstrates that there is a stage of development of concentration on a question when we sustain that, becoming philosophically pregnant, sustained concentration on a question, these kinds of questions that are eternal, questions that are about understanding, knowing, or belief. Well, not objects of belief, but the cognitive function of belief. Meditation, sustained concentration on this sort of a question. Meditation, sustained meditation, same thing, it's just sustained. Contemplation, when you join with your object of focus, of concentration. Contemplation. Those are the enlightenment experiences. But what we are calling this, so we are understanding this as, we could say, curiosity or interest. Whatever interest and personal motivation got you into this work, got you interested in this channel. As the Oracle says, which one?
You're not going to magically force someone to want to get better. You have to come to that conclusion yourself. You have to want to get better.
You have to want to learn and get better. And that leads to philosophical pregnancy. Pregnancy. Oh, there you go. I don't want to come to all the conclusions myself, but how does that help us understand somewhat mysterious nature of spirituality and meditation and all of the weird stuff that people talk about when they talk about spirituality and the different kinds of meditation? How does this help us? Therefore, if there's a pregnancy, there has to be a kind of giving birth. Now, as we've been seeing, there are two kinds. We can have questions about sort of above here. About our beliefs or about our objects of understanding, which include also the objects that are knowable, because that's where understanding comes from and where it leads, and about beliefs. Or, formally, the inherent intelligibility of understanding that we are wondering about, the aspects of understanding, beauty, justice, which are the objects with the aspects of understanding, but also things that can be directly experienced or contemplation. That's called the logos, the inherent intelligibility of the understanding, just as our personal specific false beliefs about self and reality, that's the imitation of that functions to block that development, the pathologos. Therefore, your questions could be, what would be the stages of concentration, meditation, and contemplation for each? Giving birth to whatever it is you give birth to that is a knowable object of aspect of enlightenment is surely something that exists in being, surely will be different to whatever is the giving birth or the completion stage of your work in your midwifery to purify your pathologos. This is how we deal with questions. And what was the what did Aaliyah ask us at the end of the book? Hey, this new game that she's excited about, Harry seems to be restricting her development, but sounds like they might have broken up at the end of the book. Ooh. Sounds like she might have said,
Fuck.
to Harry. She might have said,
It's sad.
And I'm sad for you.
and I'm sad for you. Could it, Elia asks, could this be, how far do you think understanding can reach, by the way? Could it become our own brand of yoga or shamanism? Joseph says, I don't know. Are we making simple and intelligible what could be quite complicated for people? Is spirituality about picking teams? Is it team sports? Like the way that politics is corrupted? I'm team Nazi, I'm team Zionist. I want to kill the other team. Or is there a single model that can unify everyone, which is simply making simple and intelligible, well, the model, the standard? 4, this is how we deal with questions. How does that help our question of, what's this got to do with yoga? Is it a brand of yoga? One of many? Or shamanism? In World of Warcraft, the game that must not be played because it's so good and addicting, so fun. Oh, I miss it so much. You can be a shaman. It's one of the classes. Shamanism. Fun.
Big shout out to the bad boy of Chinese chess.
And it's also important that we give a big shout out to the bad boy of Chinese chess. For some reason. I'm not familiar with what's happening with Chinese chess, but shout out to the bad boy of it. What do you think, Emma?
Boom. I love that.
Yeah, and it's good. Good that she loves it. All right. What is it to be philosophically pregnant? What are the signs of being philosophically pregnant? Who in the book would you say was pregnant? What signs do they exhibit of being philosophically pregnant? What is philosophical midwifery? So what's he asking us? He's asking us to talk about a specific from the text and use that to come to a hypothesis or understanding about the idea in general. That's analogy, from the lesser to the greater, from the specific to the idea, from the particular, yeah, I've already said particular to general. Using the text to gain understanding and insight of, well, our purpose. The yoga. Sound good?
Now we're getting into extreme Jordan Peterson levels of whimsy.
Jordan Peterson levels of whimsy and fun. Next question. Could you say something about the positions of the characters of the play? Can you say something about the positions the characters of the play held in respect to, say, religion, or history, or philosophy, or anything else that occurs to you, like ecology, or models, or belief, or myth? If you answer that question, what are you gaining? A way of understanding all possible kinds of human problems that we face. Do we face problems with religion? Do we face problems with ecology? Are certain people destroying the planet and certain people trying to stop the destruction of the planet? What would those positions be held by the people in the text? And then, lesser to greater, what can you make? What conclusions can you make about belief and understanding based on that? Or the stages of moving from belief to understanding. The two kinds of pregnancies. If you want to break them down even further. So, as you go through this, what are their different positions about belief itself, about myth? How do believers approach their religious myths? How do those who seek understanding approach it differently? As you go through this, what is it like to understand in this kind of a way? Is it a way of understanding without an object? What would that mean, to have understanding without an object? What a puzzling question. What is understanding then? Oh, what? If it can exist without an object. What kind of object? What is understanding? As the characters of the play, Aaliyah, Harry, and Joseph. Aaliyah, Harry, Joseph.
You have the most beautiful breasts and juiciest ass.
And, well, lovely compliment there.
I want to see the gorilla packing.
All right, that's too far. Calm down, all of you.
They're all a bunch of weirdos and perverts.
Yeah, sounds like it. As the characters of the play, Aaliyah, Harry, and Joseph move through the play, is there any indication that they have grown and developed? Can the characters from the play form themselves a mean analogy? A is to B as B is to C, representing the growth and movement through the play. So their analogical terms, A, B, C, is used to define their functioning. How do they relate? And in this particular instance, how do they relate to their growth? Movement. Do they have motion? So, can you represent their growth and movement in a kind of analogy? In the last act, we find Aaliyah showing an interest in Sophronicus. Could that indicate a fourth term in the analogy? Would that transform the mean analogy into an archetypal four-term mean analogy? What is it about analogy that suggests that he can be placed as the fourth position? That's a puzzle. What did we learn about Sophronicus? A few different things, but he seems to be the teacher of Joseph. Given that, and given that the author wants you to place him in position number 4, how could you fill out A is to B as C is to D? As a king is to his subjects, A is to B, so too a shepherd to his sheep. That's the kind of standard model that you can use to think about that question. So, those questions. Fun? Interesting? Fun game to play? As fun as World of Warcraft? Maybe. But also doesn't destroy your soul like that game does. It literally is what we're here to do with your soul. So good for you. Hooray for you. And if you're doing it, then we say to you,
I think you're a babe.
we think you're a babe.
I want to see the gorilla packing.
And we don't want to see you packing. That's no. Emma, calm down.
Queen of gooning.
I'll say. Next section, analogy. Cheers. Cheers. The structure of analogy. Definitions. Ooh. Are you going to do demonstrations next? Let me just... Well, anyway, starting with definition. The structure of analogy. In the archetypal analogy... Oh, we don't need these guys here anymore. In fact, we might bring this guy back, seeing as he's the one that's doing the teaching. Here's Mr. Sophronicus. Hello, Sophronicus. What do you have to say for yourself, Sophronicus?
It's awesome and it's gangster.
Okay, it's awesome and gangster. Good news for us. In the archetypal analogy, there are 4 terms, 4 places. Oh, hey, welcome, Nitro. We're just starting section 4. Your timing is impeccable.
I'm just thinking about being hot.
And, well, okay. We're thinking about being hot and we're thinking about analogy. There are 4 terms, 2 places, 2 ratios, and 3 relations. 4 terms, A, B, C, D. 2 ratios. The ratio of A to B and the ratio of C to D. And 3 relations, as also the relation between those 2 ratios. A is to B as C is to D. The capital letters in the analogy below represent the terms. The 3 relations, oh, okay, maybe I won't do the commentary until we finish reading. The 3 relations in a 4-term analogy are expressed by the words is to and as. The is to relates to the relation between the terms of each ratio. That one and that one. As the as in the middle relates the relations between those ratios. The first 2 terms, A is to B, is called the antecedent ratio. So there's a fancy name to impress your friends. And the last 2 is called the subsequent ratio. The antecedent comes before and the subsequent happens as a result. Make sense? Since analogies are often used to explore the so here's the significance for us. Analogies are often used to explore the unknown as we go through our spiritual development, as we seek the well cup of the soul. As we crush the turts and purify our beliefs and kiss the princess and have different levels of being and functioning through understanding, we're moving into the unknown. It's our job. That's called learning. Good thing we're learning about how to do the learning. Since they're used to explore the unknown through the known, or the more known, the antecedent ratio expresses the known. You know about how a shepherd relates to a sheep. How do I do a highlight? Just click it. And the subsequent is the unknown. The subsequent is the one that you are after. By substituting a colon, that's the 2 dots.
That's fucking insane, and you sound like a crazy person.
Well, no, it is. It's colon instead of it's colon, like 2 dots. That substitutes for the words is to, and a double colon, or as Emma would say, butt to butt.
They're secretly turned on by it.
No, I say the butt to butt one. Hold. This is important. This is important. Emma would say...
Butt to butt.
There we go. The 2 dots together. Substitute for the as in the middle. The analogy can be expressed or represented as shown below. So there it is on the board, on the book. See? A is to B as C is to D, with the dots and double dots, double colons. Or as Emma likes to say,
Butt to butt.
exactly. Because she is
Goon, 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 goon.
goon.
Gooners.
Analogies have 3 kinds of terms: numbers or lines, symbols, and ideas. When the terms are numbers in ratios, they are called proportions. Oh, there you go. See, so this would be the symbols. A is to B. Numbers. 2 is to 4, double, as 4 is to 8, double. or ideas, which is the main one we're interested in, because it's through the exploring of ideas we move from the more known to the unknown in our development, because, well, the ideas we are focused on are the ones that are selfers. They have a selfhood, a substantive quality as the aspects of pure being, consciousness, or reality. Beauty, justice, those kinds of things. So, numbers, symbols, AB, and ideas in philosophy. And they're called proportions when we're talking about numbers. The four-term archetypal analogy can be transformed in two ways, either by taking the terms conversely and reversing the order of the terms in each ratio. So AB is to CD, so we swap them. B is to A, sheep is to his shepherd, as the subjects is to his king, swapping them around. That works. It's a converse. So that's reversing the order of the terms in each individual set, or you could invert the terms. That is, by taking the first and third terms together to form the antecedent ratio. So that would be a first and third. The shepherd is to the king, maybe? Yeah, let's keep reading. And the second and fourth together for the subsequent ratio. Right, so as the king is to his sheep, the shepherd is to his sheep, so too the king is to his people. Hey, as the shepherd is to a king, so too sheep are like people. Ooh. That's a funny way of looking at things. By using these two ways of transforming the analogy, we can generate the 8 forms of the archetypal. So, we have the first one, which they call verse. We have the second one, which is called the converse, which is flipping them on each side. And then we have the invertendo, like a Nintendo that you have upside down in your living room. An inverted Nintendo. That's funny.
Slay the puss.
Well, I don't think it's that funny. Come on.
That's weird that you think that.
Yeah, isn't it weird? Which is jumping across. So the shepherd, I jump across and I pull the king over here. So here are the eight transformations. Shown here are the 8 transformations and the classic names of the first 5 analogies. So the verse, A, B, C, D, shepherd, sheep, king, people. Converse, as the sheep is to the shepherd, so too people are to their king. The invertendo, hey, as a shepherd is like a king, so too sheep are like people. Ever heard that before? Have you heard people calling other people sheep for trusting in vaccines or something? Well, when some crazy right-winger says, oh, you're all a sheep you don't recognize, whatever crazy right-wing thing that they believe in, then you can smile and say, you know what you're doing? You're being an invertendo. And they'll say, I don't have a Nintendo. And you will say,
Bull testicles. Bull testicle.
and then you will say,
But you're a woman, like, sweet tits. Hello.
maybe don't say that. Don't call them sweet tits. For not understanding your clever speak. But you can also do the converse of the invertendo. So take that invertendo and swap the terms around. Not as a shepherd is to a king, but as a king is to a shepherd. So too people are to sheep. Or, going back to the converse, which is the original flip. As sheep are to the shepherd, so too people to the king. You can do the jump across there. As sheep are to people, so too shepherds are like kings. The invertendo of the converse. And apparently there are 3 more. All right, so what would these 3 be? All right, so we've got the invertendo of the converse here. And we're doing another converse. We're flipping the terms around. So it would be the converse of the invertendo of the converse. As people are to sheep, so too the king is to the shepherd. And then we can take that, the converse of the invertendo of the converse, and then do the reach across, which would be, oh my goodness, here we go, the invertendo of the converse of the invertendo of the converse. Woo! Okay, so we take that last one we just did. People are to sheep as king is to the shepherd, and no, we don't. What do we do here? Wait a minute. No, what we are doing is we're going back one. We're going back to the, right, okay, so okay. This, number 6 was the converse of the invertendo of the converse, but we could also do the converse of the converse of the invertendo. So we go back to number 4, the converse of the invertendo, and say, hey, we started with as the king is to the shepherd, so too the people are like sheep, and we can flip that around. No, fuck me. We're not flipping it around. We're reaching across, aren't we? So we're doing an invertendo of the okay. So we're doing an invertendo of the converse of the invertendo. Sorry if you're all ahead of me on this, and it took me a while to get there. So we take that, we take the, what's C? The king is to the shepherd, and we say the king is to, hey, welcome. What's going on in my chat? Oh, I got disconnected for a second. As the king is to his people, so too the shepherd is to, oh, okay. So shepherd is to a sheep. So, all right. So for number 6, we did the converse of the invertendo of the converse. For number 7, we did the invertendo of the converse of the invertendo. But what we actually ended up doing is swapping the antecedent and subsequent around. Because C is to D as A is to B. It's just swapping. That's interesting. And the final one is, right, we go back to the, okay, here we do that thing I was trying to do before. We go back to the converse of the invertendo of the converse, number 6. And we reach across the aisle with an invertendo. Reach across to get the upside down Nintendo. So the converse of the invertendo of the converse is, as the people are to sheep, so too the king is to the shepherd. And we reach across, as the people are to, as the people are to the king, so too sheep are to the shepherd. which is actually just the previous one swapped around. Okay, so there's a couple of ways we could call that. We could call that the invitendo of the converse of the invitendo. Or number 7 was the invitendo was across, right. So number 7 was the invitendo of the converse of the invitendo. And then we just did the converse of that. So it's the converse of the invitendo of the converse of the invitendo is number 8. Or, so 8 sort of builds on 7 here. But we said 7, you could even say, is the subsequent and antecedent swapped around. And now we're just doing the converse of that, flipping the two terms. So if there is a name for swapping the antecedent and subsequent, we would say it's a converse of that. If there isn't a fancy name, we would have to say, well, if 7 is the invitendo of the converse of the invitendo, then number 8 is the converse of that invitendo of the converse of the invitendo. So that's complicated. Sort of. Not really, once you see it. Converse of the invitendo of the converse of the invitendo. It's putting all these 3 together. Anyway, that gives us all 8 permutations of a basic analogy. Those 8 transformations back in the book are the major transformations of the archetypal analogy. But you might want to discover if there are others. Don't just trust me, figure it out. Are there any other ways you could arrange those terms that would be legitimate? However, restrict yourself to simple transformations, those based on non-combinations of terms. Whatever that means. All right, don't mash. Okay. I don't know. Who knows what that means? Notice the sequence of the transformations as it proceeds through these transformations. First, the transformation begins within the ratio, the converse. A is to B, then becomes B is to A, and C is to D becomes D is to C. So they just flip on their own sides. Then the changes occur between the terms of the ratio, reaching across to get your Nintendo that was upside down. Hey, your little brother on the other side of the room has your Nintendo and he's flipped it upside down. So you need to get the Invitendo by reaching across and grabbing it and say, that's my Nintendo. Or Nintendo Switch. 2.
That might be my new favorite drop.
Yeah. What is?
I'm a comedian too.
Okay. Through these 8 transformations, the terms of this type of analogy are distributed in a variety of ways, but the position of the first ratios, which is called the antecedent ratio, and the second, the subsequent, remains fixed. All right, so there's our question. Could we just, instead of calling number 7, So we start with this converse of the invitendo and then reach across. So that would be an invitendo of the converse of the invitendo, what we're calling number 7. Couldn't we just call it swapping the antecedent and consequence? Wouldn't that be simpler than using 3 words in an order? And then number 8 is the flip of that, the converse of that. So we either call that the converse of the invitendo of the converse of the invitendo, or we just call it the antecedent consequent switch in its converse form. And the answer is no, you can't do that. You have to be super fancy and use all 4 to describe number 8. Because you can't swap them. They stay fixed. Notice that the order of the terms in the first ratio, antecedent, repeats itself in the second ratio, forming an ordered pair. What? Oh, okay, yes. So for each of them, whatever's happening in the beginning is doubled on the other side. So you can pick any one. Here we have the converse. So as the sheep are treating the shepherd, obedient, let's say, so too, in the second half, we have the same relationship. The people have to be obedient to the king. Let's take the most complicated one down here. As the people are to the king, so too the shepherd. Okay, well, that's the same, isn't it? Let's take number 7. The invitendo of the converse of the invitendo. As the, what's C? The king. As the king treats his people, so too the shepherd treats his sheep. Okay, yeah. It's all, of course. As the king treats his people, cares for them, so too the shepherd treats his sheep, care for them. Yeah, all right, that pans out. So whatever is happening in the antecedent is repeated in the consequent. I guess the aim of analogy is to put in the antecedent what you do know, so you can jump to what you don't know. Which is, of course, what we've been doing all the way through reading, because we've been... Oh, shit, I'm on the board. I should have been on the text. Sorry about that. But seeing as we're on the board, this whole game... Whoops.
You're a little bitch-ass baby.
Hey, you shouldn't be there.
It's sad. And I'm sad for you.
I put the wrong one. Hang on. Pause for... So, hey. As we've been learning about our 2 primary goals, functions, purposes as being a human, purifying the false beliefs that we carry and perfecting our understanding, using logos and ousia in that way, that would be our antecedent. And we ask the question, hang on a second, if beliefs are the lesser and cause of all human problems, and understanding is the greater, the yoga, as we just wrote on the board, our method, our purpose to reach our excellence, spiritually and otherwise, here, through these stages, then what is it that causes a greater and lesser reflection? That's the big question we've been wondering about recently. So we can take this as the antecedent and wonder, hey, what's the final goal? Which we are talking about as getting the gold star and winning the Mario Party. Everything we've been learning about, let's use this one, crushing the turts and kissing the princess, how does that help us? The movement from the lesser to the greater, from beliefs into understanding, can we equally apply that analogously to what we don't know, the movement from the greater to the ultimate, kissing the princess to getting the gold star of the Mario Party? Or movement from this kind of understanding to what? What's the cognitive function higher even than understanding? Or maybe a version of understanding that reaches the ultimate. So we've been doing it in giving birth to the big question. What's the World Cup of the soul? At the end of it, as we go, we make use of these analogies and the dialectic, all of these pools of the World Cup, these groups of 4, we asked a question, hang on a second, For there to be a group of 4, is there a cause? What's the 5th term in each of these? Allowing us to bring all of those things together and ask a question. Hey, if this is making use of logos and ousia to develop our understanding and purify our beliefs through becoming pregnant with a question as we read and reflect on our dreams using these pools of terms, we are developing a mastery of logos and ousia. We are unfolding and returning with a question, what's the cause even of that? Or is there a higher kind of logos and ousia that's the principle or axiom or ultimate that gave rise to the World Cup? Our schedule, to the fixtures. So in other words, we're taking what we have been seeing as the subsequent and wondering about the antecedent. Pretty neat. We've been doing analogy all the way through. After reviewing how analogies undergo those 8 transformations, consider that in understanding the construction of the terms in the first ratio, it is simple to determine the terms in the last. As you review the following terms of the antecedent ratio, please consider what would be the terms in the subsequent ratio. I have been doing a lot of work. I'll leave you to answer these, right? Okay. So, if it helps to think of shepherds and sheeps, fine. Otherwise, you can stick to the symbols. Or maybe even think of numbers. What was the one I came up with? 2:4 as 8:16. Use that. Now, whatever. He's giving us the symbols. A is to C is the subsequent as what is to what. Question, you do it. It's on the board here. Not the board, on the book. As D is to C, so too what is to what. As D is to B, so too what is to what. And as B is to A, so too what is to what. What would you say? Substitute ideas for the symbols to determine for yourself if the meaning of the analogy remains the same when the positions of the terms within the analogy change. Oh, he's using shepherds and sheep. Good thing that we've been picking that one. We could have said, as Mario is to the princess Peach, so too Luigi is to... Who does Luigi kiss? Waluigi? Princess Pear? Old. So, we could have been saying, yeah, as Mario is to Peach, so too Luigi is to Daisy. But we're using shepherds and sheep because the author of this book didn't play Mario Brothers. When he was in his youth, he was busy fighting Hitler as a war hero, but there you go. That was the 1920s version of, what, 1920s? Yeah. World War II. That was the early 20th century version of defeating Bowser. There, Bowser had a funny little mustache. All right, enough silliness. Come on.
Fuck.
Calm down.
Dumb bitch.
Hey, don't
They're
say
a
that.
weirdo.
No, bitch.
All right. So, as the shepherd is to his sheep, so too the ruler is to his subjects. Ruler. Note the verse form. Verse means the first one. Shepherd is to sheep, the antecedent. We know all about that. That's very easy. But the more difficult one, how do you be a good ruler of your soul or ruler of the kingdom? As a shepherd is to sheep, so too the ruler in the subsequent is to the subject of the rulership. I've been using king and subjects, but here he's just saying the ruler of any subject. So it could be to any art. The doctor is to the patient. For practice, make the following transformations using the terms from the above analogy. Do the converse. So flip within. Sheep is to what as what is to what. Do the invertendo. Now, that's not the invertendo. It's not the invertendo. No. That could be the A is to B, so that's he's got sheep starting all of them. And if the verse is shepherd is to sheep, then we know sheep is the B term. And if we look at our map here, there's only two where sheep start. There's the converse, and there's the invertendo of the converse, where you start with the sheep in the converse because you flipped them, and then you, the invertendo is reaching over to get your upside down Nintendo. So you start with the sheep, only he reaches across and grabs the people, the subjects. Sorry, that's a typo. So, the invertendo of the verse would be shepherd. So I'll give you the first term, shepherd. As the shepherd is to what, so too what is to what. That's one for you to do. And the converse of that same thing, only flipped on each side. And it wouldn't be shepherd, therefore. So whatever is this term becomes the first term. So ignore the prompts he gives us. But so using the verse, what would be the converse, what would be the invertendo, and what would be the converse of the invertendo? Now you might be thinking, why would I do that? Well, if what we've been seeing, we have basically two things that make us intelligent beings, more intelligent than grubs, caterpillars, cabbages, and kings. Well, cabbages, caterpillars, and cows. Logos and ousia, reasoning and self-reflection. We saw that the activity that makes use of our intelligence is the dialectic and analogy. Meaning, you're not just doing this for fun, you're learning how to use your mind that you can then apply to any idea you want to explore. Ultimately, the two ideas, beliefs and understanding. So this is worth it because it's always going to be true. You can use it in anything you study. But also, if you are able to retain it through your death and reincarnation, any subject on any universe, in any multiverse, in any galaxy, in any time, in any culture, you're learning how to think. Which is why this book's a fucking banger. Which is why there are basically 3 authors that we read on this channel. Masters of the Logos. Masters of the Universe. No, Masters of the Logos. That was a joke.
The more holes, the better.
And that's just Dirty.
Gooner!
Get back to the book. Now, after considering the following ways of relating the terms, see if they have the same kind of meaning as those above. What? After considering the okay, so he's giving us 3 more ones. See if they have the same kind of meaning. So the 3 he gives us to wonder about: as the shepherd is to subjects, so too sheep are to rulers. It's a new one. Same kind of thing. Does it work? Yes or no? Why not? Or why? As rulers are to sheep, so too subjects are to the shepherd. As subjects are to sheep, so too rulers are to shepherds. Does it work? As shepherds are to subjects? Oh, that's an interesting one. As rulers are to sheep. Checking the map. That's an interesting one. As subjects are to sheep, so too rulers are to shepherds. Which work and which don't? Consider, what meaning would there be to say a shepherd relates to subjects? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine if a simple shepherd was made ruler of the world? Wouldn't that be... Or ruler of the society? Wouldn't that be crazy? Would that be an absurd situation? Can you imagine someone with no qualifications, like, I don't know, even someone stupider than a shepherd, doesn't even have any understanding, like a reality TV reality show host, stupider than even a shepherd, has never cared for anything. Imagine making that the ruler of subjects. Wouldn't that be fucking horrific? Is that exactly what we are seeing playing out currently in our society, where the most ignorant, stupider than shepherds are relating to subjects of societies? How does that relate to our thinking about beliefs and understanding? So, what would it mean to say a shepherd relates to subjects? Or that sheep relate to rulers? Is the relation between the shepherd and his sheep exactly the same as the relation between the ruler and the subjects? How would you describe the difference between the ideas of same, similar, and identical? 3 key ideas. It's not, is it the same? Is it identical? Is it similar? Does the ruler take his subjects to the high meadows to feed on grass? In which case, is it identical? Is it same? Or is it similar? Is the relation between the shepherd and his sheep also similar to the relation between a teacher and his students? So we've gone from king or ruler and subjects to students, teachers and students. What's the significance of that? What does that mean? Can we say it? Why can we or why can't we? How about a doctor and his patients? A shepherd is to his sheep as a doctor is to his patients, as a teacher is to the students, as a captain is to his crew, is the next question. To what common class do all these pairs belong? A shepherd is to his sheep as a ruler is to his subjects. Guides, protects, rules, feeds. What does a shepherd do to his sheep? That's similar to a ruler guiding his subjects. What does a shepherd do to his sheep? That's similar to a ruler protecting his subjects. What does a shepherd do to his sheep? That's similar to the ruling a ruler does to his subjects. And feeding. If you continue this list to specify the ways you can describe the relations between the terms in each ratio, you will discover something interesting. Not all the relations of one can be found in the other. Like he said, a shepherd feeds grass to his sheep or guides them to the high meadows to feed on the grass. Does a ruler guide people to a meadow and feed them grass? They don't all fit. Not all the relations of the one can be found in the other. Are there always some relations that cannot be transferred to the other ratio? By asking the question always, we're asking about a principle, aren't we? Something that's general or the same. To all uses. So are there always some relations that cannot be transferred to the other ratio? Or would you say shearing and feeding are in both?
Dumb bitch.
That's a bit harsh.
Bitch.
All right, Emma's thinks she's so smart she knows all the answers that she's telling you off.
You know what? Suck my dick.
All right, okay. Thank you for sticking up for us.
This freaking guy right here.
Therefore, if shearing and feeding don't fit, is the way a shepherd relates to his sheep the same or similar to the way a teacher relates to his students or her students? Or the way a doctor is to his patients? Oh, by the way, I think there's in the introduction he says, I know it's clumsy of English that we use the masculine pronoun his, but to mean both male and female. So I'll use it, but I don't mean specifically men. This is in the introduction of the book. So when he says, to save saying his or her, he just says his. In the introduction anyway. So is the way a shepherd relates to his sheep the same or similar to the way a teacher relates to his students? Or a doctor to his patients? Can you think of other sets of terms that are similar? What does it mean to say there is a relationship that is common to all these cases or ratios? The fact that you can come up with these different ones and the other ones you come up with, what does it mean to say that there is a relationship that's common? How does that work? Why does that work? What's the meaning of this?
The more holes, the better.
Exactly.
It's not being crazy. It's called reaching a higher sense of being.
Higher sense of being.
That might be my new favorite drop.
Yeah, maybe. For if the way a physician relates to his patients is the same as the way a captain does to his crew, then the physician would be right in demanding his patients do exactly as he tells them, or he will charge them with mutiny. He's done an interesting thing here. He first asked us, hey, can we say shepherd is to sheep as teacher is to students, doctor is to patients? But now he's substituting out the antecedent and saying, hey, if there is a same fundamental relationship being expressed in all of these analogies, not only can we substitute out the antecedent, we can substitute out the subsequent and say a captain is to his crewmates as a doctor is to his patient. Not same, but similar. And not same because it would be weird for a doctor to charge his patient with mutiny. Wouldn't it? Wouldn't we have a laugh?
Big shout out to the bad boy of Chinese chess.
No, stop shouting him out. I don't know who he is.
You're beautiful and everybody loves you.
Thank you.
Slay the puss.
Why? Calm down.
Shut up for a second, please.
Yeah, please. Emma.
Just shut up.
All right, calm down, everyone. So the physician relates not in the same way, but in a similar way as the captain to his crew. So that while we can say that a physician charts his patient's journey to health, we know that's not the same as the way a captain charts his journey. Here's my drop. Oh boy.
Fuck.
This guy needs a soundboard.
I've already got a soundboard, but thank you.
UFOs might be Jesus.
No, I don't think so. But we can think about that later. All right. So they both use charts, but not the same or identical. Similar. However, both the physician and the captain have to anticipate the future to seek the benefit of their respective art. That's interesting because that's come up in the book, hasn't it? Remember Harry talking about the surgeon who's only imitating? Can only do the physical thing that he's copying, like representing belief? Can't look ahead into the future and see whether or not it'll be worth it for him to go through that surgery. Or if surgery should even be done. And if surgery shouldn't be done to this person, should he be referred to someone else? But also what has to happen with surgery? Follow-up appointments, aftercare. It would be weird for a doctor to prescribe medicine that can't be mixed with alcohol to someone who he knows is an alcoholic. You have to look into the future. And we, by understanding the nature of belief and understanding, the two functions that we can do through time as human beings, we can look into the future and say, hey, if we don't go through this and share it with enough people that human beings wake up to their purpose, the well cup of the soul, then we can look into the future and say, hang on a second, if we don't purify beliefs and develop understanding as leadership or rulership, belief only ever does harm. Doesn't get oneness, it gets division. Doesn't function based on truth, it functions on lies. It doesn't bring goodness or benefit, it only does harm. Oh, isn't that every conservative, capitalist, and religious authority ever? For millennia of human history soaked in blood and oppression and sexism and prejudice, or prejudice defining what this means to be ruled by belief. Not only that, because they can't actually get understanding and knowing, they seek that infliction, giving us the expression that's commonly used today. Well, these billionaires and trillionaires could be putting an end to poverty and starvation, but it seems like suffering's the fucking point. They seek inflicting it. Ain't no good things happening in wherever there's an American military base, or any military base, or Epstein Island, or at work when you work under capitalism. Nothing good can happen, only bad can happen. Sadism. So given that we understand that's true for all of the things that we're looking at here, the opposite belief, we can look into the future and say, hey, there's always negative, always sadistic, always false, divisive, and harmful functioning of belief in a position of rulership will play out soon as the extinction of the human species and the destruction of the planet we share, because we have nuclear weapons. We've gone through the Arthur Young has staged. We won't go into it in depth, but briefly, Arthur Young, I think the guy's name is. It's in the Orange Book of Philosophical Midwifery. Outlines stages of human development in evolution. Stage 3 is man the maker. Stage 4 is us waking up to the fact that some things we make, like hand grenades and nuclear weapons, shouldn't be made. Should we be digging up poisonous nuclear material from the earth just to power turbines in nuclear power plants when there are fucking heaps of other safe, renewable, efficient energy producing resource tools? Should we leave the nuclear material where they fucking should be? That's stage 4. Waking up to the pathologos, human belief that functions in a position of rulership, to see the limitations of our functioning, and to decide whether or not stage 3, man the maker, we should be making certain things or not. Only if we go through that, we can reach stage 4. Well, the culmination of that reflection, what we are learning here, pathologos, is stage 4 of our evolution, man the caretaker. Instead of just killing all of the animal species, instead of killing the environment, instead of torturing and killing all the human beings, we could be protecting, caring, and nurturing them like a good captain of a ship, doctor, teacher, or ruler. Same as all of them. So what we've been learning about the nature of the analogy that functions all throughout seems to be fundamental to ruling our soul, to all relationships, and the future of humanity itself. So another reason why we're having fun doing something meaningful here. And because we are understanding without an object, because this is a true universal principle, you can apply it to any specific object, captains, doctors, in any galaxy, in any multiverse. It's this kind of understanding that we've also read is the most challenging, most triggering of the ignorant, triggering our cogniphobia, the counter-attacks of our belief, stuck in their self-fulfilling prophecy with their self-defense mechanism, fighting back cogniphobia, our fear of cognitive development. Because we are overcoming our fear, this, pause. Because we are overcoming cogniphobia and doing our intended function, we are gaining the understanding to be able to look into the future and make predictions. If we allow belief in positions of leadership or rulership, we will continue to torture and murder humans en masse, bringing about the extinction of our species and the destruction of our planet. If we wake up to what we're doing here, our purpose, we can move from man the maker into stage 4 of Arthur Young's. I think the guy's name is Arthur Young. Stage 4 of our human evolution, man the caretaker. And of course, I think 5, 6, and 7 would be, well, the further cognitive development towards the World Cup. Now that we're all meeting all our human needs harmoniously, using understanding, we can, well, do what the book suggests. Teach this in schools to allow our further development from the caretaker to, well, our enlightenment individually, higher states of mind, a greater role within a greater cosmos, perhaps. Now, we will be probably jumping into the orange book, Philosophical Midwifery, after we finish this one. We're up to chapter 5, I think. We have the series already we've been working on. We got up to the case studies. There are 2 case studies of somebody going through, 2 different people going through a long relationship of philosophical midwifery, coming to realize the patterns they've been living, similar to what Harry is starting to realize. Oh, I'm in a pattern that reflects how I related to my dad in childhood. Same thing in the orange book, which is the philosophical midwifery book, called the Orange Sutra. So we'll get into the stages of evolution when we jump back into there. So that was enough just to say, oh, we can look ahead to the future, which is something that both the physician and the captain also have to do in an actual position of rulership. So both the physician and the captain have to anticipate the future for those who seek the benefit of their respective art. So given that, what would you say is the art we are learning that allows us to look ahead to the future in those ways that we've just done? Using a kind of understanding that doesn't have an object, but applies to all objects. Curious? So those are a lot of questions that you can work on. As you work on them today, you can also be curious about what your dreams might give you this evening. And if our dream master is also in a similar relationship with you as the subject, might you get different kinds of dreams based on whether or not you give this a genuine shot? Whether you put pen to paper or write the questions down somewhere, and as you're waiting in line or sitting on the bus, instead of fantasizing about what you usually fantasize, which might be just a way of solidifying your images and patterns and beliefs, wonder about these questions instead. What would that be like? And based on whether or not you do, might you have different dreams? What if you didn't pay attention to your doctor? What would your doctor say? What if you didn't pay attention to the captain of the boat? How might the captain treat you if you were on his crew? How then might your dream maker relate to you based on whether or not you accept the call to adventure?
I'm looking for someone to share in an adventure.
Or you listen to that belief-based ruler of your soul that you've been listening to since childhood, that you are imitating. You're going to be a bitch slave to that tyrant belief-based ruler? Or are you going to accept guidance from someone who actually has a level of mastery of the Logos and human soul, the author. Notice he's not telling you to do anything. He's giving you some fun questions and a kick-ass book. But how might your dreams, that may be your personal captain, physician, teacher, maybe all of them? How might that relate to you based on how you relate to this? Which of course leads us to that final axiom. What are the axioms that allow us to play the game? Excellence is reachable through the Logos. So that's what the questions give us. Good thing. Problems are solvable by seeing the inherent rationality of your pathologos. Oh, so when you wonder about these questions, take notes also of the voices that come in and say, screw that. The voices that say...
I'm so unsettled. I am so unsettled.
That say that I'm unsettled. The voices that say...
Like literally, suck my dick, dude.
Oh, maybe not literally.
The hell's wrong with you people? You sick freaks.
Okay, maybe. That calls you a sick freak. Because you can take notes of what it feels like, the words that come up, everything that we've been looking at in dream analysis, the words that come up, the images that come up, the allegory, the little drama that plays out, how it ends. Take notes, because those are the clues that will allow you, together with dream analysis and midwifery, to solve your problems. What's the third axiom? You won't be able to go through that process unless you're also paying attention to your guidance of your dreams through dream analysis. And finally, the final axiom, the fourth, well, we've got a question about the mysterious highest fifth axiom, but our ultimate goal is realizable via our reflection on the dream maker itself. So all of these questions we've been wondering about, ruler over subjects, physician over patients, captain over crew, teacher over students, shepherd over sheep. Which of them might relate to the dream maker and why? If you were to ask these sorts of questions about the dream maker, would the dream maker be the antecedent or the consequent, and why? Could you pick out one of the ones over here that we've been talking about? Any of these relationships? Maybe you're less familiar with a shepherd, but more familiar with a different kind of ruler in whatever you've been interested in your life. Could you create an analogy based on that to wonder about the great unknown, the dream maker? If so, could you go through the 8 kinds of permutations and write them all out? If you do so, what would happen? Would it be worth it? Might your dreams respond with some sort of encouragement if you do? Could you notice something for yourself? Any patterns unfold if you do that? So, those are let me have a look. How many more questions do we have? Yep, that's the first set of questions. Then we've got similes and metaphors to come. Allegory. Oh, allegory is on the way. Hooray. We've got a lot of stuff here. Oh my goodness, there's lots. We're going to be so smart by the end of this. Oh my God, you don't even know. People will say to you,
Slay the puss.
yeah, because of how smart you are. They'll say,
Now we're getting into
Extreme Jordan Peterson levels of whimsy.
Everything
they'll
this guy
say-
does is
Perfect and beautiful. And he's handsome.
Oh my God,
I
yeah.
said it.
and they'll say that you're handsome.
Now we're getting into extreme Jordan Peterson levels of whimsy.
everything this guy does is perfect.
Come on, baby.
They'll say, come on. Wow, we talk about religion, analogy, and metaphysics. Oh my God, we get into metaphysics? Holy crap. God? There's lots of stuff about God in there. Proclus? He was one of the teachers at Plato's Academy before Emperor Fuckface McGee, Emperor Justinian, who was instituting Christianity, shut down our original universities. He did a bunch of propositions based on what we're learning about metaphysics, so that's going to be exciting. Oh my god, we've got so much to cover. We're going to be so wise. Everyone will say to you,
Jester Goon Maxed.
you're just a goon max. They'll say,
Spit on me.
well, maybe.
Crazy hot babe.
Everyone's going to call you crazy hot babe, I suppose. All right, so that's exciting. We got some fun to have ahead of us. Good thing I'm wearing my stupid suit jacket. I don't think I'm going to wear it anymore. Do I have to wear a suit? I don't know. Maybe not. Right, so we are at, where are we at? Yeah. So next time, the mean analogy. So take those questions, wonder about them, have fun, do some drawings if you like, take some notes, or write them out. Apply it to what you're interested in, push the implications, have fun, and hey, I hope you become curious about the dreams. If you're going through this, and if what we are saying is true about this being the functioning of mind itself and the literal purpose of intelligent species going through stages of development, the meaning of life, a kind of learning that you can take with you anywhere, in any incarnation and galaxy and multiverse. Is that neat that we can do this? Doesn't cost you anything. Don't have to be a subscriber. I mean, you could. I can't even get subscriptions. I have so few viewers. But you don't have to be rich, or, well, you have to have internet, I suppose. Anyway, it's for everyone, is what I'm saying. Would it be worth the effort? Would it be worth doing something new? Would it be worth recognizing the cogniphobia as you're afraid of doing something new, of not being in control, of doing something weird? Would it be worth challenging that cogniphobia that we saw is what do we call it? The paradox, or cogniphobia. Oh, is the nature of the human crisis. Would it be worth overcoming that which causes the crisis in your life, cogniphobia, and doing it anyway, even though it's weird and new? Would it be worth, hey, telling your friends about it over coffee? And if it's something that would benefit their soul, maybe they'll buy the coffee. If you convince them. And hey, I wonder what your dreams are going to say based on if you give it a shot. And you can always join the Discord and let us know how you're going, or follow along on Twitch. Share your thoughts and questions relevant to how you're doing, or relevant to what you're seeing, or relevant to those questions. You can always chat in real time or reach out through Discord. If you want to buy me a coffee, you can donate to the channel. There's a link below. And if you want a copy of the text to get those questions, there is a link to that below as well. I hope you're having fun. I hope you're curious. I hope you've got something to puzzle about. And I hope you have an interest in the dreams that you have tonight after listening to this. And oh my God, aren't we getting wise? I'll see you in the next one.